All right, well, that's going to do. I'm going to head straight into the action fairly shortly with the second match of the day, the Atlanta Reign versus the Florida Mayhem. It's going to be a good one, actually. If that first match was a bit of a taster, you know, a bit of a teaser almost, we got to see a big mixture of you know, some ups, some downs, and our first look at some of these teams. And it's going to be the first look at both of these teams here today as well, Josh.
Yeah, and this is an interesting match because there's a lot of discussion around this in the community. Both Atlanta and Florida are teams that are fighting for that kind of spot right underneath the juggernauts of North America. And nobody quite knows which team is going to be better heading into the season. I would say the safe money is on Florida after what they did last year. You know, Atlanta were just the gatekeepers, but some people are just lured in by the tale of Scrimbucks and incredible DPS players. Yeah. I'm going to say, Brent, I'm one of them, so I'm diametrically opposed to your position today.
You're buying into the Scrimbucks idea? I haven't been following any Scrim data whatsoever. I haven't been following any rumors. But let's take a look at the Atlanta
starters. You are like a monk
well,
in the woods.
Yeah, I'm kind of just going in blind almost. But here are your starters. You can see Edison and Pelican. Pelican, one of the newest additions. And this guy has been showing up. The Atlanta Reign have been playing in a couple of tournaments in the off-season as well. There have been a couple of show matches and whatnot. Pelican was really one of the centerpieces for this team now. The spearhead, if you will, on
Absolutely.
the DPS. Probably going to be the one who you're going to be looking at to sort of almost hard carry a lot of these games.
I would definitely agree. The DPS line of Edison, Pelican, and then they have Kai as well, who they can sub in at any point, who was such a phenomenal player for the Valiant last year. This DPS line, I've got to agree with Scott on the desk. On any day, it could be the best in the league. Now, that depends, of course, on how they integrate into the team effectively. That's always been the issue for the Atlanta Reign. That's why they've never been able to reach their potential, take the next step, and win a title, for example, in the North American region. But all of the stirrings around the league right now are that this could be Atlanta Reign's time. That if they start with a bang here, they're looking good.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Florida Mayhem starters as well, as that is going to be their opposition. And it's a team that's also had a couple of mixtures up. As you can see, OG is going to be in the starting lineup. A lot of pressure on his shoulders to perform, I think, as well. A lot of fans' expectations, I think, are for this guy to come in with a strong performance. But a lot of question marks, obviously, surrounding it, as well as to see how they're going to be performing overall, Josh.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, OG is definitely the centerpiece of all the community discussions, but you can't forget that Slime recently came into this roster as well, bolstering them in the back line, there alongside Gangnam Jin to be what should be an upgrade over Chris, their main support from last year. This is a nasty good team that made deep inroads throughout various playoffs throughout the season, doing very well at the beginning of last year in the May Melee too. So I'm excited to see this match. This is a clash of ferocious DPS players on both sides, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how the teams can perform in terms of their coordination, their teamwork. And we're starting with a map that doesn't favor a rush style. So all of that talk about Atlanta Reign Scrimbucks, they're a fantastic rush team. We've got Ilios and then Gibraltar later on. So Mayhem are kind of primed with a decent map pool here, Brent.
Yeah, and I've seen this happen so many times before in the past, Josh. People reading into the Scrimbucks a little bit too much, you know, a bit like the tea leaves, trying to predict the outcome of the week 1 matches, and what ends up happening is the expectations end up sometimes getting flipped. Now, obviously, we're going to see if that ends up becoming the case. But I also have noticed a sort of recurring theme has been that people have been underestimating the Florida Mayhem a little bit. In a lot of the community power rankings, people do not really have the highest of expectations for this squad, which I found really surprising, because it's almost like season upon season they've been making these vast strides and improvements, just aiming for that top spot.
Yeah, but this year it's really a question revolving around OG, and that's who my attention is going to be mostly on throughout this match from the Florida Mayhem side. This guy has had opportunities to prove himself before in 2 previous years with decent rosters, but he was just never able to make it work. Underneath the tutelage of Kuki, a former main tank here in the Overwatch League turned coach for the Florida Mayhem, this should be his year to prove himself, to continue that redemption arc, or even make it a possibility, like people like Fearless and Ben Best have done in the past. And here he is leading his pack towards the first team fight for the Florida Mayhem in 2021.
And you're completely right, Josh. There's not really any rush comps being played just yet for Ilios, and the teams are going to be clashing very early on. The bubbles exchange as Hawk tries to run down a couple of players, but Yaki with the beam takes him out almost immediately, but Pelican luckily able to clean it up. A little bit of an off-angle play, and all the casualties on the side of the Florida Mayhem pretty much. allowing the Atlanta Reign to be able to get this first unlock.
Gangnam Jin stuck in the back a little bit. That's going to be a staggered death. But you can see there that the Atlanta Reign want to play very fast, very aggressive, and have their tanks just open up space for Pelican. And get used to hearing that name, fans of the Atlanta Reign, because Pelican is going to be your guide the whole of this year.
Yeah, the guy is an absolute mechanical freak, it seems. Just watching him play in the previous tournaments, and of course, in his previous stints outside of the Overwatch League, he's always been quite skilled, so a lot of hype going in off the back of that. As you can see, Florida just kind of taking it quite slow, not really wanting to press the issue too much. Edison also trying to go for the stick there, finds the mark. Slime ends up going down. And now he's still, Edison just trying to cause a bit of havoc while the rest of his team just tears apart the front line. It's a bit even as it stands, the Florida Mayhem. It's a bit of a 3-for-3, but I think with BQB going down, probably not going to be able to recontest this one. And the Atlanta Reign still holding strong, but it looks like now is the recontest attempt now, Josh.
Yeah, they can push back in here with the nano boost. They've got a lot of space here onto Gargoyle. An unusual target, but that's because he has the grab and they're hoping for a follow-up. That's a lot of people in that room, but he can't finish any of them off.
Yeah, I mean, he had high energy. He's a reasonable target to assume that, but Gator with the 3-piece, and Pelican as well, just to make things even more complicated. Duplicated on top of his own Primal Rage. Wonderful work from the Atlanta Reign to counteract both the Graviton and the Nano Boost.
Hey, double Primal Rage is a pretty difficult thing to deal with, and Atlanta Reign are looking, they're just sat pretty here. They have a rally going into the next fight, and they have a grav that they can pair with probably Edison's full spawn by the time they actually engage. This is looking rough here for Florida.
Yeah, not too many ults. They really were hoping for that grav to try and turn things around. It's going to be up to some heroics, individualism, I think. Oh, that's quite nice. Edison getting taken down is a bit of an opening for them now. You can see the Primal Rage from OG as he tries to just disrupt the backline as much as possible. BQB laying down the Deadeye as well. Might just get a kill, indeed he does. Iris will fall. And they do flip the point in the process as well, which is nice, just in the middle of that team fight. So they're going to start to accrue up that percentage and hopefully start to turn this one. But it is going to be very, very difficult. If you look at the ultimates from the Atlanta Reign, the grab, the pulse bomb, that's a beautiful little combo, and just that alone is enough to turn the team fight around in their favor and potentially just win out this round.
But now they have BQB in a good position. Now that they are in control of the point, BQB has good sightlines onto Pelican as he approaches. You can see already Pelican down to 50 health as he's trying to get in position to fight. And OG takes this nano boost, and he is just doing work up top.
Just cleaving them to pieces. Beautiful job being done. And OG, he will get taken down in the end, but that's okay. He'll spawn back into the fight momentarily, and he's on 80% to his Primal Rage, which is the important point as well. The rotation of those ultimates using the Nano Boost and the Primal Rage to try and win out these team fights. It's not too bad, but again, like I said, it is that war chest that Atlanta Reign are building up, and it just keeps accruing mass. The Grav, the Nano, the Pulse Bomb, Duplicate coming up soon. They only need to win the one fight to turn this round in their favor.
I'd like to see Iris put the Nano Boost on the Gator and try and engage, but that's going to shut it down. Massa immediately picked at the start of the fight, but Atlanta's hand is kind of forced. They've already used the Nano onto Gator.
That is a huge grab, though. Connects onto the 3 targets here, and you can see the Duplicate being used almost immediately. Still, the Florida Mayhem trying to turn this fight around as the Primal Rages are battering against each other. And a huge grab. That was from the Duplicate, I believe. Pelican switching over to the Zarya there. Able to build up a grab in rapid time, of course. And this might be enough. Still, OG brings down Gator. It's not over just yet. Gargoyle, high energy. Anything's really possible as well. Got the personal bubble, so still building up a bunch of this charge as the point continues to get contested.
Gators had to go back over the ball to be able to contest this, so no opportunity for synergy there with the Nano Boost. And again, a Nano used onto Gargoyle. Attempting to shut them down at the beginning is Massa with the bash, and they're trying to avoid this damage as much as possible. Atlanta Reign are in control of the point still.
They are. They've just about flipped this one, but it's going to go straight back into Florida Mayhem's control. They got the D-Mech onto Hawk as well. Quite worrisome, I think. BQB in the off angle. Edison and Hawk getting taken down. The fan, the hammer, as he tries to slip out of their grasp. The Florida Mayhem just about turning this one. Gator had to switch over to the Wrecking Ball just to try and contest, but it will not be enough. As the overtime goes down, that is round number 1 going to the Florida Mayhem. And a very good job at that. Usually, control goes the way, the first team fight win dictates a lot of the way that control goes. And Atlanta Reign winning that first one meant that it was always going to be an uphill battle for the Florida Mayhem to come back. but he managed to do it. And now they're just one step closer for taking the map.
I want to give a shout out as well to Yaki with that pulse bomb kill onto Massa. That was the fight where Atlanta Reign were coming back in. Florida at about 66%, and Atlanta had all the tools they needed to be able to make a deep push into the point. They had Nano Boost, they had Primal, they were looking for a Grav and Pulse Bomb as well. And just that loss of their Brigitte set them back so horribly in that fight that it was just a mountain that they couldn't overcome.
We'll see what other performances get put up now. Similar compositions being played from both of these teams. Seems to be the standard here. Bit of double bubble, but Hawk obviously still on the Diva. Stun onto Gator. He is being blown up immediately. That was a shield bash into the Bionade, I believe. Couldn't receive any healing, and that is the go button. The Florida Mayhem, they want to jump on this opportunity and see if they get any picks off the back of it. They are playing quite aggressive, but the point gets unlocked, and now they're going to start to slowly cap that one up.
Interesting to see the Florida Mayhem opt into playing BQB on McCree kind of a lot of the time. We've seen different teams try and run Ashe Echo. That was pretty popular in the APAC region last night. And some teams going for the full-on dive of the Tracer Echo as well. But BQB's hero pool really favors this McCree because he can do stuff like that, shutting down Edison with a tap to the head and a tap to the chest.
You gotta be kidding me. Here we go. I mean, he's on one. He's feeling himself, that's for sure. And that one pick just opens it up again. It means the Florida Mayhem don't have to worry about the backline too much. They can just press all the way forwards. The advantage is theirs. And they're finding so many of these picks. Gargoyle ended up committing the Graviton Surge as well into this team fight just to really seal it. I suppose he's quite confident in his ability to build up another one, but the Atlanta Reign just going to be obviously taking these hits, get a quick little reset, try and battle back with a couple of ultimates of their own.
This really has to be the time at which Atlanta Reign flips the point over. You can't allow Florida to get up to the 60s, the 70s. This has to be the time, and all of my eyes are on Pelican, as are yours, because this duplicate has got to be huge. He has a bunch of targets that he could go for. Winston would be the most normal of those, but he needs to make something work.
OG's going to be using that Primal Rage, and look at the disruption. The Atlanta Reign just cannot move forward whatsoever, but there we go. Pelican switching over to the Winston now, and he's already built up a Primal Rage of his own, battering them into the corner once more. And the picks are going all the way to the Atlanta Reign. Look at them, they cannot move out of the side of it. And off the back of that, that should be enough damage done for them to be able to flip this point. You can see it's already almost done. And that is that. The Atlanta Reign winning out this team fight. The Florida Mayhem with decent discipline there, cutting off their losses early. Now they're going to be rethinking how they want to approach this one, but at least the Atlanta Reign can say now that they've got a fighting chance so far in this round, and also this map.
Hello. Definitely. Yaki actually used his duplicate in the previous fight, but he turned into an Ana. He accidentally, I'm assuming it was an accident anyway, duplicated Iris in the middle of that. And, I mean, the Nano Boost is pretty good, but it's not as high impact as something like the Winston that can get a Primal immediately, and Gator's got another one.
Already building it up, and he's got to get some value out of it here. Slept up though, that is a beautiful sleep dart from Gangnam Jin. Already, he's going to get the sticky bombs laid out onto him, trying to follow up on a lot of this grab damage as well. He's able to do so. The rest of the Atlanta Reign able to just work off the back of that, despite the fact that the Primal Rage didn't get maximum value. It's perfectly fine. They're just going to come back, get healed back up now. That's really what they were looking for. A little bit of disruption as well for the rest of the team to just take advantage of.
I love the areas of the map that Atlanta Reign are taking fights in. They're bunching Florida Mayhem into small, confined areas where BQB doesn't have long sight lines to deal with Edison or Pelican. They shorten those sight lines, make the kill boxes, just stuff them into a choke point, and destroy the Florida Mayhem as they enter. This time, Florida going for a high ground approach, and they have Duplicate, Nano, and the Grab to work with here.
It looks like the Atlanta Reign opted to just jump straight onto the backline though. They want to disrupt them, they want to try and take them out. Whilst the Florida Mayhem are focusing on their own support line. Beautiful mechanics there from OG. She's going to be sending Iris right off the edge, and a Graviton Surge on top of it. Catches so many targets, it's impossible to miss. Already off the back of that.
Yeah, Atlanta invested a lot of ults into that fight as well, Brent. They used double support ult in the middle of this. A rally is still available for Slime, and this is last fight territory.
Pelican's got to go huge with the duplicate. I mean, that's what all of our eyes are on right now. It is the final fight, whether you like it or not, for the Florida Mayhem. Winning this will seal this map away. And here comes the duplicate now. Onto the Winston again. Pelican just looking to build up the Primal Rage again. He does manage to get the pick onto BQB, but that is also going to cause a bit of aggression from the Florida Mayhem. Massa and Iris, the support line for the Atlanta Reign, are finished. This might be a flip over. Look at this, OG's trying to save this point, just trying to make sure it holds on for a little bit longer, as the overtime will burn. Still, are there any targets left to even touch this point now that it's gone into the favor of the Atlanta Reign? Might just be able to get onto it. Body blocked away, just about getting on. Yaki takes out Pelican as well. This could still be winnable for the Florida Mayhem, Josh.
They're getting pushed off the point though, and look at the health on Gargoyle, on Slime. BQB hit with a Pulse Bomb too, and Atlanta Reign refused to lose here on Ilios. They somehow got back into that engagement. You've got to give credit to Pelican, right? The double Primal Rage, just both of the Winstons, bringing me back to before we had Hero Limit 1 in the game. That was some 2016 gameplay you just witnessed, with double Winston just pounding them in the back. And remember, Bren, that was after Iris and Massa had both died. They recover that from what was essentially a 4v6.
It's actually unbelievable as well. And a large part of that as well is, I mean, I cannot recall who it was. Maybe it was Edison, who ended up flipping the point in their favor and forcing OG to go back and return to the point. But a large part of this is just intelligent decision-making in that final fight that allows them to turn it around.
Look at that kill, Bran. That's so good. That was Yaki taking a duel against Pelican, and Iris decides, yep, I'm getting in on this as well. I'm gonna weigh in. And now Atlanta Reign can play the Brawl Comp, can play the Rush. This is what apparently they've been doing very well on in scrims. Let's see whether it translates.
1-1 to decide a round. Wouldn't have it any other way. See that they're just trying to keep the players topped up right now. Florida Mayhem, OG getting frozen up and crowd controlled up onto the point, taken out almost immediately, and that is just a team fight done. Via Wrecking Ball is very hard to try and get any sort of value or entryway.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough one too, I think. Florida are now going to have to try and recontest into a rush comp, which is so solid, so deathball-y. And they don't really have the most mobile characters in the world. BQB is always going to be a target if he's on this McCree. As soon as he gets close to them, he becomes a character that they can run over with that Lucio speed boost.
We'll see what they're capable of here. Yaki's roaming around looking for a target now at the off angle. Trying to go in. Almost built up this pulse bomb, actually, doing a decent amount of damage. The rest of his team as well. You can see that Ice Wall, but Slime getting caught out of position. I believe that was the window laid down. Such a brutal ultimate ability if you don't respect it. Just providing enough damage here. And what is that, Yaki? Comes out of nowhere. I was wondering what he was going to be doing with that pulse bomb, but now this might just be turnable. Trying to go for the 4K, but Gargoyle going to be stealing that one away from him, and now the D-Mech coming up close. What was looking like just a done and dusted team fight. I mean, Yaki is just superseded my expectations in every single way.
That is abnormal. Yaki gave it straight into Edison's hands, and he just delivered it to the rest of his team like a birthday cake.
Let's watch it again.
Look at this one. I'm pretty sure he stuck it onto Edison. It may have been onto Iris here. Oh, it was onto Iris. Oh, and it just blasts all three of them. No immortality field is going to save you from that. That's brutal.
Deadeye gets used early, but I think had to get cancelled out because the mines were laid down. Sound barrier used as well. No, Edison held on to it. He got the kill into BQB, took him out of the fight. The grab also laid down. And Edison's going to be removed from this fight. Still a winnable now scenario for the Florida Mayhem. Transcendent's going to be committed as well and invested. So the rest of the team is all healed up. And the rest of the Atlanta Reign, they're like, okay, we're not going to invest anything else into this. We at least got out the Transcendence, the grab. Not a terrible fight, and the mines on top of it as well.
It's a pretty good one, honestly, because the Atlanta Reign are going to be able to reset. They're playing a fast tempo composition. BQB, though, has made the move onto Hangzhou. Much more mobile, able to get away from the rush, play high grounds. I like this swap. This makes a lot of sense to me. Now the primary targets for Atlanta are Slime if he's too far forward, or Gargoyle if he uses his bubbles early in the fight.
Well, that is so much damage, but the healing is immense from Iris, just being able to keep Edison alive. The pulse bomb not quite connecting, but it does force out the immortality field. Another little power driver there coming out from OG as he tries to get the damage in, but BQB with a stray arrow knocked straight into the head of Edison. Still, self-destruct comes down onto the point. No one within the line of sight of it, and the Florida Mayhem still pressing forwards. Gangnam Jim just putting in an immense amount of pressure as well with the Discord Orbs, and that charge, I mean, what flashbacks to Reinforce 2016. I don't know what he was attempting there. Yeah,
he was just stuck.
Lotto force.
I mean, if he takes one with him, that's the best he can do. Look at this Dragon, so aggressive from the Florida Mayhem, because no one can touch the point.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, Brent, that's a spectacular end, but really my brain keeps going back to that 3K from Yaki. Without that, they're not even in that round. They're not in the round if Yaki doesn't pull that off.
Yeah. It's an absurd turnaround, I think, as well. A lot of people also, maybe we keep talking about recency bias, I think, on the broadcast quite a bit in terms of like different players. But Yaki's one of those players that, I mean, we knew he was good from the early season last year. And then, of course, you know, the other people came into the scene, or at least, you know, stole the spotlight almost. But the guy is an absolute monster when you get him on his comfort roles like the Tracer, as we saw just there. Being able to turn that team fight around, you're going to be hurting a little bit, but remember, the rumors are that the Atlanta Reign are going to be favored as well on a lot of those rush compositions, and hopefully the map pool will be supporting them as we get later and deeper into this series. And we're going to be finding out if they can bring it back right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
What are you guys doing? We have a game right now. We have to go. Come on, checkmate. Out of set. We gotta go. Come on.
스윙팀님.
We have a game now. Wake up, Yaki. Okay, gargoyle. Just gargoyle. Just gargoyle. Gargoyle? Gargoyle. Have you been in here practicing this whole time? Okay, come on. We gotta go. Let's go. Okay, get in formation, everybody.
Welcome welcome back everybody from the break, and taking a look here at our power rankings with IBM Watson as well. You can see we've actually got Yaki and BQB in the top 10 here. This is our 2020 season rankings, and this is IBM Watson using the data from 2020 to decide the top 10 DPS players. No surprise from me. I mean, I think BQB has also been kind of criminally underrated almost, I suppose, over the course of the season. Definitely overshadowed in some regards, but you know, the AI never lies, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, BQB had a breakout season last year, actually. After, you know, having a fairly decent career in Korean contenders and then moving up into the league, he played for the Florida Mayhem back on their prior rosters that didn't do that well, and he just didn't look like that great of a player. And then last year, he surprised everybody because he absolutely rinsed the competition, and like you can see, crept into our top 10.
As you can see, we've had a bit of a substitution on the side of the Atlanta Reign. Kai is coming in. You may recognize, went by KSP in the previous seasons, had a bit of a change of name. And this guy was just putting up some unbelievable numbers, just overall. I mean, an absolute freak when it comes to his mechanical ability as a hit scan player. I've always held this guy in regards to possibly one of the best Ashe players in the world, which has always been a controversial statement. But here's our Indeed player resume for Kai, and as you can see, numbers-wise, the guy is just putting up just monstrous numbers.
Yeah, #1 in hero damage per 10 minutes in 2020. Over the course of the last season, he was the player who put out the most damage overall, like per 10 minutes. If you put him in a game, he is going to farm the opposition. He was also #1 in total final blows. He didn't even play the most. It wasn't like it was that oversaturated in that sense. The guy was just a beast. You know, a lot of the community was sad that he didn't get a role star for last year when it came to the damage position. And you can see that he didn't quite make our top 10 as well. I think probably down to last year's Los Angeles Valiant not really breaking into the elite tier. But now that he's on this team, aspirations are set reasonably high for the Atlanta Reign. They're not supposed to be world beaters, that's not what anyone's claiming, but they're supposed to be up there in that second tier. That's what the hopes of the community is, and this is where they prove it, I think. Eichenwald, they have an opportunity to play that rush style again, and that's what they're so highly rated for. Let's see whether that actually translates in the match.
That's what we're going to try and do. And Kai and Pelican as a DPS duo, Josh. I mean, that is scary. You see those two gents running at you. I mean, I'm quitting the server. I'm taking the penalty, you know?
Sure. I mean, what's most interesting about that, too, is presumably Pelican's going to be playing a lot of Mei when it comes down to these rush compositions, which isn't really, it's not thought of as being a very carry role for a flex DPS player, but we've seen from other people in the past, like Ivy last year, like Rascal, both last year and actually this morning when he played against the Seoul Dynasty, that your Mei can have an enormous impact on the flow of a match when it comes down to how these rush styles play against each other. I think here, the Florida Mayhem have got to know what's coming up, and I would be so intrigued if they decided to run a counter composition. We saw hints of that this morning in the APAC region. Shanghai Dragons ran a Sombra Farah composition. I mean, it would be magical if they decided to pull it out here. We talk so much about the coaching of Florida being fantastic. Let's see what they have to come out with. Are they going for it? Are they baiting me? I mean, I wouldn't be mad if we just saw OG on Reinhardt either. That guy's a phenom.
Yeah. Feel like we were being baited just ever so slightly, so it looks like it's going to be the slight mirror match.
Sad.
Gargoyle actually opting for the Sigma instead. The team's splitting up just off the jump as well, just seeing to clear out all of the angles in case somebody's hiding close. And they do spot that, okay, they're not too close. And now, yeah, we get to see OG on the Reinhardt. This is the guy making so many memorable moments on this hero. I mean, just so many iconic Earth Shatters overall as well. It's going to be nice to see him on this role that really did kind of set the reputation under his name here.
Oh yeah, there is no arguing about this man's mechanical skill. He is a beast when it comes to the main tank position. It's just about being able to put that together into a team environment.
So the Ice Walls are going to be sent up here, and it's going to be splitting the team up and actually biding time a little bit. I believe the Immortality Field may have been used there by Gangnam Jin as well.
It was, yeah.
And so that might be an opportunity for Atlanta Reign to press the advantage. But look at this, OG just swinging into them. No fear whatsoever, but he's caught against the Ice Wall, goes for the charge, and while that was all going on, it was Pelican with another smart Ice Wall play in the backline, managed to hit 2 Icicles to clean up the rest of it. So the Florida Mayhem going to go back to the drawing board almost with that one.
Yeah, and what I want to What I want to point your attention to as well, Brent, is that Atlanta are the ones at the moment, even though they're on defense, being proactive. In both of those attempted skirmishes, they were the ones going forward and pressing their advantage. When they saw OG wrap around that central pillar, they pushed the backline both times.
And they do have a couple of pretty decisive ultimates online here. See the amplification matrix coming up. Gator with the Earth Shatter. I know he wants to let it loose, but he's got to find the right timing for it. But that amplification matrix goes up. Ganajim using his ultimate means that they are going to be playing backwards, and it's going to be a slightly better one. There you go, to Fire Strike through it. It's an age-old combo. Ganajim gets caught out by it. And they're just all falling down here. The Florida Mayhem struggling to hold up against the Atlanta Reign. Just a slightly better read of the way that team fight was going.
I've got to say, I saw the Fire Strike go out. I saw it go through the window. I saw it heading towards the Florida Mayhem, but I didn't think it would actually connect with Gangnam-jin. He took that one fully to the face and just went from 200 to 0 immediately. Yeah. Florida, so far, more than half their time is gone, and they haven't even really had a fight that they've looked like they have a chance in. They need to take control of the pace here.
Rolling forwards here, the Earth Shatter used early on now by Gator, and that's going to use the wall as well. Stunned up on the side, Kai coming in with the flashbang. It's enough to lock Yaki up. You can see the sound barrier being committed, the immortality field as well from the Florida Mayhem just to try and keep them alive in this fight, but with the Blizzard on top of it, the Atlanta Reign are just more than dominant in this team fight. Not having any sort of struggles.
Here's what I suggest, Brent, as well. Gargoyle has just used his Gravitic Flux. I want him to swap over to the Diva. Okay, that's what he's going to do. And that is going to add so much more pace to their play. It makes them more dynamic. They can move quicker. He can adjust to threats more quickly as well. And he has the potential to be able to take high ground positions, that sort of thing. So this might be their best chance. They have Blizzard available here and a beat. It's possible. If they can bait out the window and push back in, this could be a good fight for them.
The window goes down. They're trying to push up past it to try and take the team fight. The Blizzard as well, but it gets ate up. Hawk. Beautiful defense matrix. Finding that one. What a critical ultimate to negate. And now we can see them pressing forward once more, but Iris is the one to go down here. Hawk using the self-destruct. Is going to get taken out as well. Yaki with the quick little icicle and the flashbang just to lock him in place once more. BQB hunting for targets now, just trying to see if he can connect onto anything. Looks like the Florida Mayhem are slowly grinding this one out. Able to get one tick. The Atlanta Reign do have enough people alive that they could opt to try and recontest. Pelican, I think, was just about trying to get onto it, but not going to be the case. And the Florida Mayhem going to be happy that they just about squeaked open that checkpoint A.
Yeah, that was looking tense for a while. I think the swap from Gargoyle was a good decision, but at the end of the day, what got it for them was just that aggressive engage, taking control of the tempo and pushing really fast into the Atlanta Reign, sandwiching Gator and putting them at a health disadvantage early on. But Atlanta are not willing to give up the pace here. Now the ult advantage flips in their favor. They have their own Blizzard to work with and a Shatter, and this is going to be tough for Florida to get through yet another choke point.
See Gargoyle just trying to put in the off-angle chip damage. Coming through with the Deadeye. We've seen some work being put in with this ultimate so far over the course of the Overwatch League 2021 season. The Mortality Field is forced out. Earth Shatters as well, as Gator just tries to make the most of it. Indeed, he's going to be able to support his team pressing forwards, getting a lot of these kills, and it's going to be the reset, I think. Is that Yaki? Yeah, he's just sliding off the edge of the map in the ice block.
Yeah, you just saw his ice block slide into the forest below, I guess. Yeah. And look at the positioning of Atlanta right now. They have pushed past the portcullis, up towards the very spawn of the Florida Mayhem itself, trying to make sure that they can get extra fights out on defense. The more fights you can take, the less the payload is going to move, the better your defense is going to be. But positioning like this favors the Florida Mayhem, and Gator's been caught out.
Whoa, what a great ice wall from Pelican as well. He's going to be blocking the window, and Yaki ends up falling to Kai. I mean, that was a fight that should have been favoring the Florida Mayhem, and yet in the end, the Atlanta right now are going to be pushing back in. They know that the window, the amplification matrix is done. It's dusted. BQB's off the map with Hawk's boosters, and they're just going to press the advantage again. The Atlanta Reign showing no remorse, pressing all the way into their spawn once again. And it's just absurd to think about, Josh. I mean, I love...
Bren, we're looking at 50 seconds left on the clock, and the Atlanta... I mean, the payload is moving backwards, man. The payload is moving backwards. This is a disastrous position for the Florida Mayhem to be in.
I'm going to try and rotate up onto the high ground here. See if they can take the fight in this direction. It's forced the Atlanta Reign back into position, but as soon as they drop, they might choose to aggress back into them, and there's the window again. It's a brutal ultimate. You have to respect it. And that's why you see the Florida Mayhem just hugging the walls. They do not want to peek a head out. The Blizzard being used, and Atlanta Rain want to push off the back of it. It only connects onto one, though. It's going to be Yaki using the Ice Block just to try and get out of it. He does miss most of it now. 10 seconds on the clock. OG with the Earth Shadow. We've seen him work magic in the past with it. Let's see once more. See if he can get some value. Swinging around. The soundbar is actually going to be traded by both of these teams. And now the Amplification Matrix laid down with the Earth Shadow off on the side. Hawk is going to be down on the deck, but nobody is able to follow up. The Atlanta Rangers kiting back, but slowly being ground down to oblivion. As the Atlanta Rain are just going to be eventually pushed off. But look at the overtime, Josh. I mean, you were saying it before, when you take fights that early and often in the spawn, it gives you such an advantage because the cart is only just started moving.
Yeah, Florida now have to play aggressively. They need to keep this momentum up, and that means taking really fast control over the bridge area. So I love that they've gone this far forwards. There's always risk involved, but if they can get out a nice ice wall, maybe. I mean, that just looked like Tetris going on over there. But in the midst of it all, Atlanta have slunk up to the top, up to the battlements, and they're able to drop back down onto the payload.
Ooh, this is a brutal Amplification Matrix. This window from the high ground, nobody can contest Kai. He's just taking pot shots after pot shots, and they just step off the cart for a moment.
Score 0-1. Switching sides.
누워 있는데 너 누가 밀어? 마사프, right?
No,
the run just walked off.
Gator swing? Holy shit!
Yeah, I was on my back swinging.
I'm die.
I swing while I was on my back.
Very nice.
I was just watching Gator lay on his back. Take it like a man.
Well, there you go. There's a little look at the player comms from the Atlanta Rain there. And that was Massa's voice that you heard at the end, just describing the scenes that he was witnessing towards the end.
Sure.
They look like they're in high spirits, though, despite the fact that they're not one down. I think they can be pretty happy with how they played there.
Of course you can. Yeah, I mean, just holding at this bridge section as well is so valuable. It can be one of the more difficult areas of Eichenwald to hold, but you've got to be feeling good about that one. And they certainly are. You can see that the rumors, the Scrimbucks exchange that was going around, I never buy into it, you know? I feel like it's almost too much of a risky investment early on. You know, I like the tried and tested data.
Listen, sorry, I just want to interrupt you for a moment there because we just saw the replay, and I know that the chat is going to be spamming C9, C9, C9. But at the end of the day, what was Florida supposed to do there? They had to take an aggressive attack at Atlanta, and Atlanta had a window and a McCree up on the high ground. The back of the McCree were uncontested. There's almost no way that Florida are going to be able to win that, so I don't blame them in the slightest for just stepping up to the objective for a moment there. That was simply an excellent play from Atlanta Rain, and Florida were kind of checkmated.
Spotting the win conditions that they needed, and they've speed boost straight past this ice wall. Immediately onto the point now. The Atlanta Rain have a bit of an advantage when it comes to the positioning here. Already 2 ticks gained. The Florida Mayhem have to start trying to take this fight. Right now, they just stepped off the card again, Josh. They just didn't step onto it.
Okay,
6 minutes for the time bank.
I'm not going to defend that one, Brent. I am not. I simply cannot. That was Florida looking like they've got some grandpa reflexes, to be honest, because Atlanta moved so fast, so decisively. That was such a different point A. Every time Florida tried to do that, Atlanta had already preempted them and speed boost to match them. And so they were always matching them head to head or speed boosting into their backline to be able to catch a pick. This is Atlanta moving quicker than the Florida Mayhem, thinking quicker than the Florida Mayhem. And it seems inevitable at this point that they're going to end up losing Eichenwald. How could they win? They need some magic like that from OG.
OG laying down the Earth Shadow. No one can follow up on it, though. A bit preemptive, but it does stall them out. But Kai does go down. The window doing a lot of work there for BQB, just layering on top damage of his already pretty potent shots. Another team might win here. So this is what the Florida Mayhem need now, and they're going to be starting to take a page out of the Atlanta Rain's book, holding close, aggressive. This is what you need to do when the time bank is this oppressive.
Oh, wouldn't it be fantastic if we saw the Florida Mayhem do the same thing to the Atlanta Rain that they just had done to them and end up bringing this map back?
The window's laid down, Earth Shatters, the flashbangs, ultimates being chucked out left, right, and center. BQB with the Deadeye does not get any work done, no value, but no casualties on either side. You can see the Florida Mayhem just backing off, trying to use the geography of the map to try and avoid this damage.
And they're out.
Right, okay. Yeah, they're like, okay, we'll take it. But they've been caught out. This is the kind of aggression you need. The Blizzard, Yaki just lays it down at his feet, and he's able to catch out the tanks with it. A couple of kills going their way. They just need to try and clean this up. If they don't lose any more players, this is still looking very good for the Florida Mayhem.
This is the weirdest fight I've ever seen. 3 players from Atlanta are just trying to push the payload further and further. They've invested the Blizzard. It's forced a sound barrier out of Slime. And Brent, the thing is, the more players get traded here in this big mess, the more it favors Atlanta because they can't keep getting spawn camped. They're getting closer and closer to that objective.
Oh, it's pushing so close now, Josh. It's so inevitable. Slime might be able to contest this one if he's got the moves, but look at it. Everybody's keeping him off the cart, and there it is. They tried to make it happen, was not going to be done. The Atlanta Reign with a very dominant map number 2. Going to be taking away Eichenwald, bringing it to 1-1 apiece.
And could you get a better game between these two teams? We've just seen back and forth so far. I think this might go all the distance, Brent. We could be going all the way with this one.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, where we were picturing a lot of these teams in terms of the skill levels, we knew they were going to be evenly matched. But this is just living up to all of our expectations, I think. I've been absolutely loving it.
Yeah, you can see both of the teams kind of contemplating what they want to do. Next map, Gibraltar, we end up going back to the dive style, favors Florida, constant back and forth. You can see the players taking off their headphones as they get ready for that next map as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just an absurd performance so far from both of these teams. So nice to watch Kai and Pelican as well, playing on the same team as well, just doing dirty work as the DPS duo. And yeah, we're going to be heading to a quick break in the halftime. On the other side of it, though, the game will be continuing. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.
Welcome back, everybody. And of course, yes, this season we want to see your fan artwork and showcase it on our digital fan art gallery. For the opening weekend, you can submit your Overwatch League inspired works for a chance to be featured. You can see the link on your screens right there if you want to submit any artwork. So get it in and get it featured soon enough. And we're going to be heading right back into the game momentarily as well. As you can tell, obviously, we've got some shorter breaks this time, and both the teams probably raring to go. A couple of substitutions being made here as well. As you can see, is going to be Edison coming in instead of Kai. And I'm not sure if there's any on the other side of the Florida Mayhem here.
Nope. That's it. Edison back in for Kai. And that implies to me, Bren, that we're going back to some kind of dive mirror, you know, kind of style, where we're headed to Gibraltar. We're expecting things to look more like either a long-range hit scan and an echo, or a tracer echo being played a lot. That kind of thing with the Winston, with the Zarya. That has been the general trend for most teams within the North American region when it comes to Gibraltar. And that means that attention and focus, in my opinion, is back onto the Florida Mayhem, is back onto OG. It feels like they need to close out these kind of maps to keep themselves in this series. They are favored, it looks like, considering their win on Ilios. But there's a difference between being favored and actually being able to put the nail in the coffin and close these games out.
Of course, yeah. And it's so much hype revolving around the Atlanta Reign, I think, overall, and their ability to play a lot of these rush compositions, you know, revolving around a Lucio, picking a target, jumping on it with the speed boost. And it's definitely not been for naught. And so far, we've got a hell of a game on our hands, as, of course, when we left off, it is 1-1. And I like the variety we're getting here so far in the May Melee qualifiers presented by Xfinity, of course. It's been a lot of different compositions across the board, which has been lovely to see, both in NA and in the APAC region.
The game seems very open right now. It feels like you can play, okay, maybe not anything, but we saw a few teams try out a Sigma Ball kind of poke composition with a lot of Ashe being played and some Zen in the backline. And we've seen a lot of this double bubble composition as well, which is a form of dive where you have your Winston and your Zarya. The Winston is taking the Zarya bubbles, going in, trying to build up Nano Boost, trying to build up Primal Rage. And that is how I'm expecting this to play out, which puts a lot of focus onto OG for me. He's going to be the guy with pressure on him. Everybody on Atlanta is going to be gunning for OG. And for Florida, all of their hopes are on him as well. He's going to be getting Nano Boost. He's going to be getting the Primals. And he needs to make space for them.
See, Yaki's actually using that emote just to peer around the corner. So you can see what kind of composition they're running with early. The bubble's laid down. He actually spotted OG, and he's going to be hacked up and dove upon. The Atlanta Reign just about spotting OG, recognizing that it could have been going for a little bit of an aggressive play, just hidden around the corner. That's why you always got to check those little areas of the map when you're rolling out, just in case. And it pays off big, honestly, for the Atlanta Reign here.
Yeah, that's a huge one. They have found so many picks here. The kill onto OG, and then capitalizing on that momentum to be able to get BQB on the high ground, and then a sleep on the Gargoyle too, which they may be able to deliver something with. This is a great start for Atlanta, but they haven't really gotten to the most important parts of the map yet. So now that they have the high ground, how do they get to the next area? They're running a Tracer Sombra kind of look, so a lot of it's going to revolve around the Nano and also these hacks.
Yeah, paying attention to Pelican as well with that EMP timing. Trying to build it up on the attack side as well. Not as many opportunities, so it's quite large that they were able to get those two opening picks. You can see the Winston's going to be trading positions as the bubbles are laid down once more, but this time it's Yaki who's able to capitalize. As Massa goes down, the post bomb laid against the ground. Hawk just walks over it. Trying to warm up a little leg there, and Pelican almost getting a cheeky little clip.
You can't be doing that to the Mayhem fans. You can't be doing that to the Mayhem fans. They already got brutalized on Eichenwald.
You've been seeing compilations being posted of them just C9ing already in week 1. It would have been brutal. Still, the Atlanta Reign not giving up just yet. You can see Gator just contesting this cart.
We're getting very, very close to Pelican's EMP.
That's almost 100% already at this point into the game, and might try and let it loose once they find an opportunity. There you go. It only connects onto the one target. It was Gargoyle, but they do manage to bring him down. So No Zarya in this fight. It's going to be a bit troubling now for the Florida Mayhem to try and overcome this one. Massa using the rally as well to try and really cement this lead. Florida Mayhem coming in with the reactive ultimates. Bob just being laid against the wall as well. Going to be putting in some suppressive fire. And Yaki as well just doing the business. 2 kills for him, as he's just been absolutely tearing them up while they've been distracted.
So far, Yaki is outputting way, way more than he should be. He's going above and beyond. He's getting into their backlines along with OG and putting pressure on Iris and Massa as they're trying to get in. As they try and engage, the backline is getting so pressured, and Edison almost seems to be absent from checking Yaki. That might be because he's currently in Narnia and is trying to get something done in their own backlines. So unless Edison comes out with a huge play here, he's just kind of not relieving any pressure on Iris and Massa.
You need something to stop him, but BQB ends up getting the better of him. Edison goes down, and Yaki with the stick. Massa falls. The bubble can't save you now. And already might be looking for the 2-piece there. Another projected barrier, but it's just a futile effort as Iris will eventually fall. And this whole time, the Atlanta Rangers feels like a part of their game plan is to try and split attention, maybe play one person onto the cart just in case they can sneak it in, maybe get that first checkpoint. But this is a bit of a brutal area to get held at. 40 seconds now, Josh, and they don't have the EMP, but they do have the grab and they do have the nano boost.
Yeah, they've managed to push some players out of position, but I'm always trying to keep my eye on where Edison is and where he's roaming around, because it's been a tale of 2 traces so far. This time Atlanta Reign take the high ground. Gargoyle looking like he wants to go for some kind of ult here. They're so concerned about the payload too.
Yeah, they are. They are truly, truly concerned. The bubble's laid down, but OG in the backline with the nano boost. Both Winstons were traded out as the nano boosters were applied, but OG was the one who got maximum value from it. Massa falls, no more armor packs. No more healing. It's only Iris is going to be supplying it, and they're going even further beyond now. Pelican might just be pushing his card in. It's contested ever so slightly. They've got to try and push them off now, but look at this work being done. Gator with the Primal Rage, just trying to make something happen so low, but Yaki tracks him down. The EMP will be unleashed, and Yaki just needs to play quite safe and conservative for the time being until it fades away. Just about getting back into the fight now to recall the pulse bomb laid down, not getting the target, but does get the recall or the translocator out of Pelican. He's not in this fight any longer. The overtime is burning. Horde might just get demeched in the mix of it, and it's looking like the slow grind out now for the Florida Mayhem, just stopping them just short of this first checkpoint now, Josh.
And as brutally as the Florida Mayhem were held on Eichenwald, they do the same and arguably worse to the Atlanta Reign here on Gibraltar.
Goodness.
Yaki put on an absolute Tracer masterclass just then, reminding us of why he's in the IBM Watson's top 10 DPS of 2020. That is the kind of stuff that he was doing all last year. Just getting into backlines. The 3K on Ilios with the Pulse Bomb. The Pulse Bomb kills here onto Hawk. The annihilation of the backline. He has been gapping Edison when it comes to the Tracer so far. And that isn't something that I thought would happen. I thought this might actually be a bit of a close battle between the two.
God, he has been an absolute menace. And Florida Mayhem, they needed this, honestly. Any sort of map where they can kind of force the compositions into their advantage, and we're seeing these early narratives being built as well. You know, the Atlanta Reign being quite comfortable with the rush comps, the Florida Mayhem more so with a bit of Winston, a bit of the double bubble comps. Anything you can get Yaki as well onto the Tracer is always going to be a treat.
Oh yeah,
it's paying off so much. Still a winnable scenario for the Atlanta Reign. I don't want to make it seem like there's no hope whatsoever. We've seen examples in the past, especially in the Overwatch League, where a team has been full held at that first checkpoint, unable to cap it up, and then they just do the exact same thing again, because this first point is deceptively hard to push sometimes.
It definitely is. The defenders have all of the high ground control, and that payload is just kind of in a well. You have to go down there and you give up all of your advantages to try and push that one forwards. As long as the Florida Mayhem didn't C9, they were pretty good. And they managed to avoid it this time around. See what Florida are up to here. Looking for a cheeky little pick from Yaki on the Widowmaker. But this is normally just the push and pull of the beginning. Seeing if you can push these defenders out from their aggressive high ground positions. And it looks like we're attacking here with a Tracer Ashe. BQB not opting into the Sombra. He's going to go for the long range hit scan.
Yeah, they have a lot of faith, I think, as well. A lot of the onus is on Slime, I think, to try and check Pelican when he's going for these hacks at times, putting himself in favorable positioning for that. OG was hacked up there, but again, it's too early in the round. No one's really going to be able to jump off the back of it. And the card is going to get a bit of free push.
Yeah,
It's just
a lot
Yaki
of
doing his
push.
job.
And that's the thing, often we're going to see Yaki try and push that payload forwards, and that's on Edison most of the time to go and contest him. Slime dies though, big Bionade into the backlines, also catches onto Gangnam Jin, and he's also going to fall. Yes, they take out Gator, but with both of your supports dead, Florida can't really continue this fight.
Just resetting, and yeah, when he gets to this point in this initial round, the concept of spawn advantage doesn't really exist. It's quite even for both of these teams. This middle sort of tug of war almost, where the card is just moving backwards and forwards underneath the car wash. We'll see what they're able to do. No ultimates for either side here. Iris very close to building up the nano boost, which is going to be pretty integral. Layer that on top of Gator, help him build up his primal rage potentially. You can see the charge coming through, but Gargo's not getting any of it. The damage being applied to him, the bubble as well. You got to keep him up here. It's a valuable resource when you get your Zarya charged up.
OG just got destroyed. He got bashed by the brig, bionaded and taken down as he dived into the back. Gargoyle's trying to follow up with a grab of his own, but it's just not enough. Gator's been nano boosted and they are just wrecking through the Florida Mayhem. Now, having said that, Yaki won the 1v1. And that could make a big difference because with Gator falling now, Florida have a lot of space to be able to start to take this high ground for the first time in this round. And there's only 2 minutes left.
Kill. It is a massive kill here because now Gator as well. I mean, he could have used the Primal Rage to stall that one out. He's going to have it for this end portion, but wasn't anticipating the burst damage of the right click while nano boosted. And now you can see him just getting chunked. Here, had to use the bubble early. Not a Primal Rage going in, but it's a bit of a mistimed communication here because you can see, again, the projected barrier being applied. Bob going to be laid into the back line, but he's hacked up, so he's not going to be part of any sort of this fight. But OG with the Primal Rage has caught so many targets in close quarters. They're so low, but nobody's able to capitalize. No one's able to bring them down. Now the EMP connecting onto 3 of them as Pelican just lets it loose. Can anybody to get any sort of damage into the Florida Mayhem to try and burst them through this rally armor that Slime's outputting? It's not looking likely now. The Florida Mayhem have a difficult decision to make here. With only a minute on the clock, they decide to just reset, and now they're probably going to be going for the repush.
Yeah, they've managed to maintain this high ground control though, and that's what Gator's contesting. He wants to take a bit of damage and charge up Iris's nano boost, because that's the only tool that they're going to have for the next engagement, is this nano boost from Iris. It's got to be huge.
It goes immediately onto Gator. They want to try and get some proactive damage out. Hawk gets deleted straight away. That's a large amount of your damage gone now for the Atlanta Rain. The Graviton Surge from Gargoyle, it's good. It connects onto a couple of targets, and that is all the kills flowing now for the Florida Mayhem as they roll that car forward. And they're going to be taking Gibraltar away, turning it into a 2-1 game.
Don't say it wasn't close, Bren, because I was sweating there a little bit for Florida towards the end. But at the end of the day, both Florida and Atlanta have won these most recent maps on their defensive side. Florida just held them too much. If you haven't made it past the first objective, checkpoint A, it is unlikely that you're going to be able to hold your opponent to the same. And once more, like Ilios, I've got to give a lot of the credit here to Yaki. I think OG's been having a good game too, but Yaki is just playing like a beast. Yeah, he's getting a huge amount of kills, impact kills, pulse bomb kills, and he's been able to keep Edison in check too. That takes a lot of skill. This guy is back and ready to play.
The series isn't done and dusted just yet. We're going to be going to a short break, and obviously on the other side of it, the gameplay will be continuing. Will the Atlanta Rain be able to battle back? We'll be finding out shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
we're all doing this from different locations all around the world. This one is going to be epic.
A good day of Overwatch. New York kick things off with a bang. Tuba manages to get rid of Masa. Come on. He'll get rid of Kodak. Do I see a Hawkeye? Oh! Wait, what? Are you serious? What's that? Oh, dear. In the block. That's the Deadeye. No. Unbelievable. Yeah! Come on! I don't believe what I have just seen. Raw! That is absurd.
That is exactly what the doctor ordered.
And despite their best efforts, the Chengdu Hunters are done.
Yeah! Huge decay, he's charged up, there's another graviton set. He doesn't even need it to connect. He'll fall by the hand of a former comrade. And 2 decay.
Welcome back, everybody. And as you can see, the Atlanta Reign are raring to go. So excited, ready for the rest of this match to begin. And you know, one of the things that we've been, going on and on about is this dominance that Atlanta Reign have been showing with the rush compositions in particular. And we've been talking up Kai, we've been talking up Pelican as like the DPS duo or some of the DPS members alongside Edison. That's really been solidifying this. But the rush composition does rely on some of the other members of the team more so than the DPS, Josh.
Yeah, and I'd like to put particular focus on Gator and Masa here as well. Gator, a former member of the original GOATS team who gave that triple support composition their name, so he's made his entire career essentially around playing that. Not that he only plays the Reinhardt or only plays the Rush, but that's something that he really seems to gel with as a player. And Masa, I feel like a lot of the speed of their engagements, if we think back to Eichenwald, came back from that Lucio too. So now in the next map, as we head towards Hanamura, that's more of what I'm expecting, is a bit of a return back to Eichenwald. And it does seem like between these two teams, there appears to be a bit of a, not just a bit of an enormous stylistic difference, where Florida Mayhem look way more comfortable playing that slightly slower Winston-based diving composition, whereas the Atlanta Reign looked at their best, absolutely, when they were playing the Reinhardt Rush. And so I think the winner of this series is going to be the one either where the maps favor them, which looks like it's the Florida Mayhem, or if they can kick the other off their comfort roll. And that's what I want to see here as we head into Hanamura, is does the Florida Mayhem have a plan to get Atlanta Reign away from the rush comps? Because it currently doesn't look like they're going to be able to hold up to that. And I don't think Florida want to go to map 5. Yeah, Lijiang Tower, it's great. Everybody loves it. But at the end of the day, that is a chance that you lose this series, and you're currently up 2-1. So any chance to close it out here on Hanamura has got to be the thing that you go for. And I would love to see something special come out of Florida to counteract that.
We've seen some teams in the APAC region. I think they've been running some unique stuff, I will say that much.
Oh yeah, I mean, mate, we saw Chengdu play against Valiant this morning. Of course we saw some unique stuff. That's Chinese Overwatch at its best right there. That was something spectacular.
Yeah, there are methods to try and break and kind of disrupt, I suppose, the momentum of a team that's trying to run the rush composition. Not necessarily when you're on the attacking side, but the Florida Mayhem might just be opting to try and match them rush for now. And you can see the Atlanta Reign not making too many changes to the kind of composition that they wanted to play. They've still got Hawk on the Diva, and of course Kai and Pelican are going to be playing that McCree and the May as well, along side by side. Yaki just trying to take a quick pot shot with the Widowmaker.
It looks like a scouting maneuver here, actually, though. OG and Gargoyle both went out. OG was on ball to kind of get a look at what the Atlanta Reign were playing. Are they playing double shield? Are they playing a rush comp? And now they're going for the teleport. Oh, it was a bait! No, a fake teleport up to the high ground. I love that.
The bait and switch, and they try and catch a player out with the wall as well. BQB does have full energies charged up right now with the Symmetra beams, and now the TP goes straight to the point. They've already lost Slime, which is a bit of a dangerous scenario. They're split up as it stands. We'll see if they can get anything done. The wall again just being laid down, but not able to split anyone up. And Gangnamjin's Immortality Field is the first thing to go, which has opened up the floodgates for the Atlanta Reign to try and just pound in the damage here. You can see Kai, no one able to deal with him on that off angle. And the damage he's putting out is enough to try and stop this push.
Yeah, but they got a free tick. Oh, I mean, I say free. They fought for it, and they had a nice strat that allowed them to bait the high ground and then go to the point. But at the end of the day, they have that. It's 33% that isn't going away. So Florida can try and build on that too. I fear these teleport plays might end up being a little too readable, but this time it's not a bait. They go up to the high ground, and they have some nice positioning for the next engagement.
Yeah, now they've taken control of the opposite side of the point now. You can start to see them there looking for an opportunity again. The ice wall is laid down. Pelican using it to try and stop this amplification matrix from getting any sort of value. The Immortality Field is laid down. I believe that's still going to provide some protection along with the Symmetra wall. A winnable fight now for both sides as Kai's going to get beamed. Trying to just shoot through the wall. I mean, it might be that good. You can't quite shoot through the Symmetra wall just yet.
BQB is demolishing. All they have to do is keep this guy alive, and he's doing a bajillion damage.
Yeah, booped into the self-destruct, but it's not going to be the thing that gets him killed. Iris will be, instead, eventually brought down himself. It's an even fight, Josh. Going both ways. And you're right, BQB was so instrumental in essentially just staying alive and outputting so much damage to make that fight winnable. And it's just a matter of time. The charge comes in off the side as Gator tries to get a cheeky little pick. He's rewarded with a kill onto Slime. And he's going to get the fast spawns as well, so he's going straight back to his team. Atlanta Reign going to be able to set up here.
That's an enormous play by BQB. He gets them that first tick via some fancy teleporter plays, but he gets them the point via a fantastic ultimate that splits the point in half and allows him to stay safe whilst doing enormous damage to the Atlanta Reign players on the other side. Gator found the first pick onto Yaki, but it just wasn't enough. And now here come Florida again, desperate for it.
So many ultimates being tossed out here onto the high ground. Not much value going to be gained, but Yaki does go down. He did get out the Blizzard just before he went down, and the point's going to start to get contested, but both the tanks, OG and Gargoyle, very low. Gargoyle opting to use the self-destruct, trying to get the pin onto Gator to try and disrupt him, and maybe set himself up for the self-destruct kill, but not going to be enough here. The Atlanta Reign with the spawn advantage. Too. Yeah, able
Another
to
huge
just close that.
And what I want to point out, though, is that Atlanta tried to drop to the point to deny that first tick, and they just got there as it went over. So it's slightly too late from Gator, dropping from the high ground to the low ground. Even though they secure that fight, again, they have gifted the Florida Mayhem that first tick on the objective that was instrumental in turning point A around. Florida are going to be trying to attack here. Again, they don't really have much to work with, but BQB's ultimate, we've seen how powerful it can be in the previous fights.
Try and maybe speed boost engage straight past this wall. Not sure if they... Yeah, they're just going to get pinched and crushed straight against it. Gator swinging against it. They can't go anywhere because they didn't destroy it quick enough. The TP also goes down. And look at his play here. He's going to be trying to break their ankles a little bit. Get a bit of extra damage down. He does have that Symmetra wall available to him, so that might be a good engagement tool moving forward.
Normally, Symmetra is only really used for those snowball fights coming from A to B. It's unusual to see a team kind of continue with it. And they've given the high ground up to Kai.
The other shot that comes down from Gator, but I don't believe he got anything there. Just about blocked. It's a crisscross of ultimates being used, but ultimately it looks like the Atlanta Reign are the ones who are going to be coming out on top here. Just about found their fight as well. Playing quite aggressive into the Florida Mayhem, not letting them really set up in their own spawn. Now only 2 minutes remaining for the Florida Mayhem to make something work. And you see BQB has made the switch here, Josh, as well to the McCree.
Yeah, he's going to be dueling Kai for control over this high ground when they push in. Him and Gangnamjin probably playing together, trying to take control of either upper right or the balcony areas. As for the ultimates that they have to work with, the Blizzard is good, but you have to draw them to the point first. So my eyes are drawn to OG's Shatter. Gator's been getting the better end of him so far in this first episode of his redemption arc with the Florida Mayhem, but that boop is huge from Slime.
That's a massive play from Slime. They tried to play aggressive straight into them, but it's not enough. And now, the pot shots from on high. Nobody has dislodged BQB on this McCree now from the high ground. Now, Gargoyle will get caught out of position. Okay, the Florida Mayhem, they just do not want to be holding any sort of control. Don't want to give it up, or don't want to essentially risk anything by holding that 4 position. Just going to be holding on the Mega Health Pack. It was looking pretty good for a moment, but it is a very disciplined Florida Mayhem that we're watching here. They know when to try and cut their losses, to be honest.
That's true. I mean, they have an entire season of experience that allowed them to go deep in tournaments, and they know what's required of them in terms of that discipline. Now they're pushing into a window, though. Great May wall from Yaki. That's going to get taken out, though. And again, Florida, control the pace, calm it down a little bit. They have their own window to push behind in just a moment if Gangnam Jin can get the last 10%.
OG has the Earth Shatter. Again, no targets close by for him to try and make any work happen. The Amplification Matrix. Of course, Atlanta Reign have to respect this. They're going to use this opportunity to actually... they're going to play the point here. The Self-Destructor's using the corner, the Sound Barrier, and now the Earth Shatter laid down. Gator against the wall, pinned. And now, with the swing, does take down OG. Even fight, the Defense Matrix does its job. Gargoyle eats up the Deadeye. The Florida Mayhem with an opportunity now. They're just going to try and start to play this point. The Self-Destruct laid down in the lower sections is going to catch as well onto Hawk, taking him out of the fight. No longer in his mech, and that's the Florida Mayhem finishing with 16 seconds on the clock.
I'll tell you what, Brent, 16 seconds could be crucial for them too. The fact that there was time remaining there for Florida after they pushed one final time with only a minute on the clock, basically. Those 16 seconds could be the difference between life and death in this series. Because you're expecting Atlanta to have a pretty good attack of their own, considering the comps that are on the board. And that 16 seconds means they're going to be able to go to the next set of rounds. OT is going to be on the table.
Sure. What you were saying earlier about wanting to see something different from the Florida Mayhem instead of the straight up rush compositions, because it's pretty clear, at least, despite the fact that the Florida Mayhem, yes, they got the two objectives needed to bring it with 16 seconds on the clock. Are they going to try something different now? Because the defense is the time where you would try it, to try and disrupt the rush composition when they're trying to burst through that initial choke point. And it looks like they are. They're just tinkering with this. Now, this is something we've seen a lot, I believe, in APAC as well. A lot of Mercy usage alongside the Echo to try and just really pump in damage-boosted spam straight through the choke point, catching any player off guard.
We've certainly seen a bit of it, absolutely. But this is, this is a totally different look for Florida. They're going to... It's not the double bubble setup either. If you have a Zarya here, the Zarya becomes such a focus for the rush comp to just run over as soon as her bubbles are used. So Gargoyle's going to be constantly trying to play the high ground. The people who are at risk, Gangnam Jin in particular, so he's going to have to be very specific with his positioning. And now I think they've spotted it.
Wow.
And all right, what is this? Atlanta Reign knew exactly what to swap to. And I don't know how this fight is going to go down. This is a bit of a poke comp here with the Ashe, with the Echo. The Echo is going to be able to duel in the sky. Both have got Mercy pockets. This could be interesting.
Yeah, and a double shield as well. The war of attrition as they're just slowly trying to gain map advantage. Of course, a huge Bionade is going to connect onto 3 targets here. Atlanta Reign cannot push through. Pelican, Gator, and Hawk have to stay their ground just for a moment, but now the shields are back up. Healed back up as well. They're going to look to see if they can get any sort of target whatsoever, and it's Kai who ends up getting the first kill. BQB falls, and I said it before, and I'll say it again, I think Kai might be one of the best Ashe players that we've got in the Overwatch League. Definitely makes the case for it.
Yeah, and you might be looking at one of the best Echoes as well, because the way that Pelican just destroyed OG and Gargoyle inside that Winston bubble was something else, man. That was, that was a nasty good play. Playing a composition that can empower Kai and Pelican, which is very different to the rush comp, where, okay, Kai is really important because he's playing the McCree, he can have huge influence, but Pelican's value is much more based around his walls and how the team plays around them. Whereas with this comp, I mean, they can just brute force their way through. That was fantastic play. I imagine a lot of this next fight is going to come down to the duplicates. Yaki and Pelican are kind of racing up to that.
Yeah, with the composition that's being played here by the Florida Mayhem, it's kind of quite easy, I think, to let them through this initial choke point. Normally quite a hard point to try and stop. Bob onto the point, contests it up, and Gargoyle, that's his job. You can see him just body blocking so they don't get any sort of percentage. It's hard, though, eating a lot of damage in the process. OG as well with the nano boost, builds up the Primal Rage just in time, and he's managed to catch out a couple of players now before they can jump down, but he has to go to safety. He's getting chunked down pretty quickly now, and they've given up high ground control. Gator so dangerously close now to that supercharger. And with Atlanta Reign on the high ground position, it could be a death sentence. can see the duplicate being used now as well as Pelican moves over now to the Winston along with the Supercharger. It is unreal. No G booped off the high ground. Gravitic Flux as well, just crushed into the floor. Pelican finding so much work right now. The rest of his team just holding down his high ground position, but Gangnam Jin brings him down, potentially saving his team here.
And Yaki with a response of his own, this duplicate form, he copied Hawk and has managed to do enormous work.
Massive.
That flux was huge. But the player that I want to point out, because he was on our screens as well, was OG. He dodged so much stuff that was coming at him through the course of that fight. Just eternally contesting the high ground, jumping up, doing damage to the Supercharger to make sure that they couldn't just free fire up there. And that constant pressure and the mechanics that he needs to be able to avoid getting punished whilst playing that aggressively is why Florida picked him up.
It's very intelligent gameplay as well from a lot of the Florida Mayhem guys as well. I mean, that was Atlanta Reign's best opportunity to try and close out or at least get a significant distance in this series or in this map. And they kind of got stopped as well. So many ultimates invested into that one moment. But again, Atlanta Reign now in control of the high ground. You can see Bob built up again, by the way. Kai building up so quickly. The sleep dart will stop him momentarily. And Yaki's sensed that there's an opportunity here. Potentially can get a kill onto Massa, but Massa just about goes to the rest of his team. Look at the shots going in, and Yaki damage boosted up. That is ridiculous. Just burns down Pelican. The Atlanta Reign still in a pretty solid position, but a nice Bionade from Gangnam Jin takes out Massa. And it's an even fight, and it's a bit shaky all over the place.
Yeah, what a messy engagement. There's still 3 players alive, a healer, a tank, and a DPS. And it's like 3v3 Overwatch at the end here. This is
a terrible joke.
Yeah, this is I mean, it's really odd, though. The way that Atlanta got stuck there, they could have tried to maintain high ground control, but they didn't have enough players, and the respawners are just too late. So we end up getting reset, and now Atlanta, they're within... You start to worry about them a little bit here, because they don't have big ults to work with other than this Supercharger.
Supercharger goes down, they need to get some... No way. Yaki duplicating up over to the Tracer. Recall instantly. He's gone for the pulse bomb. He's going to make it stick as well. He puts in a tremendous amount of damage onto Gator, and he does force out the Immortality Field. Taking it out in the process here. Gargo gets demexed. Another pulse bomb for Yaki, but not enough to get out of there. Still, back in the form now of Echo. They're going to be applying that damage as the Nano Boost is laid down. Hawk slept up, but he's probably going to get woken up within this cleave damage here. And now the Atlanta Reign are down onto the low ground. Bob again. Kai laying it down, and it's putting in a lot of work as Slime will be the first one to go down in this mark. The bubble. As OG's just trying to stave off so much. Primal Rage going to be unleashed as well by him. Just trying to get any sort of kill possible, but Hawk biding his time, and with the Hyperspheres aimed well, does take him out.
Unfortunately, though, it's just not enough for the Atlanta Reign. This composition is not working for them. Florida are too good at the dive. This is what I was talking about as we came into Hanamura. Can one of the teams force the other off their comfort roll? And they've done it. Florida Mayhem have set themselves up for a victory right here. They could come away with the 3-1 win if they can just hold on for a little longer. Everything that Atlanta have thrown at them has been tossed aside. The Supercharger, whenever it goes down, Florida can put enough pressure on the high grounds to avoid them just free farming. Hawk, when he went for his Gravitic Flux, got slept by Gangnam Jin. Every tool that Atlanta have, everything that they're throwing at them right now, Florida have a response for.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful to watch unfolding here, and another Nano Boost in the pocket here of Gangnam Jin, and you can see it applied immediately onto OG just to try and build up another Primal Rage, but Yaki will go down. Kai finds the kill. I believe that may have been an accretion to follow him up and lock him in position for it, but here we go. Oh my god, Gargoyle! The 3 pieces, the self-destruct is sent flying into the sky. And what an ultimate to try and end that team fight with. Only 30 seconds remaining now, Josh. And this is looking like a do-or-die situation. The Atlanta Reign, they have to complete this now. They have to, otherwise the series is over.
Yeah, that was an enormous play. And again, everything that Atlanta are throwing at them just ends up getting pushed away. They're taking such an aggressive defense here. The Supercharger again just dismissed, thrown away. Florida don't care.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's a love letter to bronze players everywhere, playing all the way deep in the spawn. And they're just stopping them from even touching One player manages to get over here. As you can see, Kai had the bomb, and he's going to lay it down onto the point to form the overtime. A window of opportunity now. Maybe the Florida Mayhem a bit off more than they can chew. Gangnam Jin, though, getting the sleep off onto Bob and getting the kill onto Pelican is massive, and Gator almost messing up his mechanics there, just bumping into the side, but he is going to be able to get onto the point still. The Florida Mayhem trying to stop them. The sleep into another kill as Gangnam Jim is just holding the line, pushing them back, taking pick after pick after pick, and the overtime falls, and the Florida Mayhem are the ones who will be taking Hanamura away, and they're going to take the series as well, 3-1.
What a great performance from Florida Mayhem, especially on that final map of Hanamura. Just showcasing that they can take their strengths and mold the series around them. This map of Hanamura is, I mean, Hanamura itself is very much about the choke points and taking that early aggression, being aggressive on defense. And they have managed to take their dive style and perfectly form Hanamura around it. That was that was a stellar performance from two very good teams in our North American division.
I want to toot your horn here for a second, Josh, because you said, as we were heading into this, that the Florida Mayhem, they needed to force the Atlanta Reign to adapt to them. They needed to force them off the rush composition. And that's exactly what we saw. I mean,
I also said that Atlanta Reign would win the series, though, so the horn can't get tooted, Brent. No toots on the horn.
I tell you what, though, as well, I'll tell you who said that the Florida Mayhem were going to win. Me and Danny. So I'm just gonna make that claim out there. Danny, the only one on the desk as well, who predicted the Florida Mayhem. Again, not about us, it's about the teams, but at the end of the day, you know, you got to pick yourself up every now and then. Still, but it was a phenomenal series between these two teams. And we had so many questions about where they were really going to be lying. We knew that they're kind of like just breaking out into that upper section of a lot of the North American teams. But it was a wonderful showcase, I think, of a lot of the strengths of both of these teams.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think as well, this starts to answer the question about how OG is going to fit into this team. There's been so many questions about this guy for years that he's been performing in the Overwatch League. His quest from Dallas and Gladiators and now here with the Florida Mayhem. A lot of people are unconvinced because he hasn't had success before. But a lot of other people are pointing towards Kuki, the coach, like I said earlier in this cast, a former main tank player in the Overwatch League who is now directly tutoring OG. I gotta say, he looked brilliant, especially in that final map. Maybe the Reinhardt wasn't quite there, but his Winston on defense was superb.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and it enabled our player of the match to win this award, and it's got to go to no other than Yaki, of course, for his tremendous, outstanding performance on the Tracer. I mean, the guy was a menace, wasn't he? Just causing havoc in almost every single map that he could. And he wasn't just doing it on the Tracer, but it was largely where a lot of his impact was coming from. And a casual reminder, I suppose, as well, day 2 of the Overwatch League in 2021 as well, that he still exists and he is still an absolute force of nature.
Yeah. That's always the case, right? The people that have changed teams tend to attract more notice than those who have stayed on the same teams. And Yaki's still here. He's still dominating. And he's ready to remind everybody about it. His Echo was excellent. His Tracer was just transcendental. He was able to get so much work done. This series could have gone so differently if he doesn't hit that 3K pulse bomb on Ilios. That brought his team back into the round and back into that map because they were at a disadvantage at that point. They were, you know, it was 1-1 and they were 45% down. And yet Yaki pulls magic out of the hat. Just some ridiculous stat lines as well. 14 final blows per 10 minutes. That's wild. And the pulse bomb kills per 10 as well are just otherworldly. I can't imagine being that good at Tracer.
Yeah, I can't imagine being against him as well. I mean, it's quite scary. It's quite frightening. It is. But that's going to do it for this series. Going to go to a short break. On the other side of it, though, we have a nice little interview of OG lined up. So don't go anywhere, guys. You want to hear some insight into how that match went down. Stick around.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity.
Welcome back, everybody, to Game Break presented. All right, everybody. Now I'm back. Welcome back, everybody, to Game Break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. We're joined by OG from Florida Mayhem. OG, congratulations on your first win. OG 선수 일단 자기소개 간단하게 해주시고 승리 너무 축하드립니다.
안녕하세요. 이번에 새로 플로리다 메인탱으로 들어오게 된 OG라고 합니다.
Hello, everybody. I am the newest main tank of Florida Mayhem, OGE. Nice to meet you all. Alright, let's jump right into the questions. So first question that I have for you, OG, is based on scrimbucks and rumors. A lot of people believe in the Reign, but I want to hear what was Mayhem's perception of the Atlanta Reign coming into the series. 일단 쉽게 말씀드리면 아틀란타 팀이 좀 강팀이다라는 좀 루머 때문에 많은 사람들이 이번 경기 들어오면서 아틀란타를 많이 믿었던 것 같은데 오지 선수가 보시기에는 아틀란타가 진짜 좀 강팀이라고 생각을 하시는지 아니면 좀 개인적이나 아니면 팀적으로 좀 봤을 때 좀 의견이 있다면 뭐가 있을까요?
개인적인 생각으로는 일단 펠리칸 선수가 잘한다고 생각은 하고 있었는데 이제 루머로 들리기로는 아틀란타가 잘한다고 했는데 뭐 스크림은 스크림일 뿐인 것 같아서 뭐 그냥 별 걱정 없이 했던 것 같아요.
So I personally really believe that Pelican is a great player, and also heard the rumors as well. And I also do believe Atlanta Reign is a strong team, but rumors and just there's a difference between like matches and scrims. So just coming into the match, this is a real game, this is a real deal. So we didn't really take anything to heart, and we just gave it all. All right, cool. Moving on to second question. You are one of the newest additions, like you mentioned in your intro, that you were. Sorry, let me retry that one more time. You're one of the newest additions to the team. What are your expectations of yourself as part of the Mayhem this year? 자, 이번에 아까 말씀하신 대로 팀에 새로운 좀 합류한 선수 중 한 명으로서 오지 선수의 좀 개인적인 좀 기대가 있다면 자기 자신한테 기대가 있다면 뭐가 있을까요?
개인적인 기대라고 하면은 이제 제가 그 감독님과 코치님들이랑 이제 잘 배워가지고 이제 그거를 잘 팀에 융화시켜가지고 좋은 성적 내는 게 기대인 것 같아요.
Right. So my main goal is to just take in everything that I can from the coaches and from our team, learn everything that I can so I could bring that synergy together for our teammates and for our matches moving forward. All right. I have one last question for you, OGE. This is sort of a fun one. So I don't know if you know, but I am actually the only one on the desk who picked the Mayhem, and everyone else picked the Atlanta Reign. So I am the winner. Do you have anything you want to say to the other three that are on the desk? 아시는지 모르겠지만 오지 선수 오늘 저희 또 북미 중계진 중에 저를 포함해서 저를 빼고 나머지 세 분이 메이엠을 뽑지 않고 상대편을 뽑게 됐는데 그거에 대해서 좀 뭐 한 말씀 하시고 싶은 게 있으시면은 좀 해주시면 감사하겠습니다.
뭐 따로 생각할 말은 없는데 이제 게임 잘할과 게임을 잘 모르는 사람의 차이지 않나 싶네요.
Right, so it's nothing. I don't have much to say. I think there's just a big difference of person that knows the game really well and just people that don't know the game well. So thank you so much, OG. Again, congratulations on your win. 자, 오늘 승리 다시 한번 축하드리고 너무나 감사합니다, 인터뷰해 주셔서.
네, 감사합니다.
Alrighty, everybody, let's go back to the desk. So apparently, everybody, I am the person that knows the game very well, and all these guys. No, thanks, OG.
I love a good burn. You know what? We take it when needs be. Is Cuss actually? No, he's not.
How do we come back from
really
that?
Well though.
I
don't think we can. So I'm out.
Just get better. Just get better.
Yo.
That's as deep as I can go now, my legs.
Not bad.
Anyway, well, sometimes sometimes it's a win, sometimes it's a loss, and we take it. And I'm not the one who has to do a shui now, so there is that. But I do have to drop some money to charity, which is really a win overall, because I like donating to charity, so I lost absolutely nothing. Great performance, great first showing from both of those teams. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw. Reinforce, let's start with you. Coming into this match, other than everyone buying into Scrimbox, I believe there were some people out there, let's just name drop some, such as Sideshow, who were a little worried about the Mayhem, given that they just thought that OG might not be a seamless fit. How do you actually think he performed today?
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say a lot of very nice things about OG, but I don't know if I feel like it anymore. You know, maybe it's time for me to just go on another like 2016 Rogue rant instead. No, but for real though, I think that a lot of people overemphasized how good rush compositions were going to be to start the season, and I think that's why people predicted the Atlanta Reign to win, because Gators showed alongside Hawk that when they played the Reinhardt composition, specifically on Eichenwalde, they were just dominant. They were beating the Florida Mayhem. But as we were proven so far, day 2 of the Overwatch League, and it seems to me that double bubble compositions are a lot better than we anticipated going into the season. And so seeing OG playing the Winston here with the Florida Mayhem, I think they looked elite on that composition. I think that they really utilized OG well, because coming into the season they were like, well, he's not going to be able to replace Fate. So they just did what OG does best. Put him on the Winston, play aggressive with the Winston Star Bubble, and make him play his best game, and then we'll play around OG. And we'll just play that playstyle. So they did that really well. Impressive all around. We know Gangnam Jim has a sick Ana. Yaki, of course, spectacular as well. So the Florida Mayhem really coming alive early on in the season. And I think this is a very good indication for the main melee qualification matches moving forward.
Absolutely, and it was a back and forth, right? Like the first match was a nail-biter. Obviously, Eichenwalde, if you're a Mayhem fan, that one never happened. And then afterwards, Mayhem took it home. But I was very excited to get a look at both of those teams. I feel like both teams had a lot of pop-up moments, lots of individuals who stood out. We also just saw that, what was it, a 3K from Iris there on Ilios. Costa, he's one of the players who's really impressed you in this series.
Yeah, one of many multi-kills that Iris got throughout this series. I think Iris, at least personally, was a big question mark for me whether he's going to be able to compete in this league at the highest level. We didn't see a whole lot from him last season, but I think he played incredibly well on both the Ana and the Baptiste. If anything, my worries came a little bit from Massar on that Brigitte. Unfortunately, falling first a lot, especially on that map Gibraltar. But for the most part, I actually think they played really well, Atlanta Reign. They weren't in their comfort when they were up against this double bubble dive from Florida Mayhem, as Johnny and Sideshow said. And I think not enough can be stated about the map pool being very good for Florida Mayhem in this series. This shouldn't count out the Atlanta Reign. They were very good when they were able to play their style. So hopefully they can get some more diversity as the season goes on, but Florida gets the edge on this one.
That's one of those things, right? If you have compositions such as double bubble or rush, they are very map dependent. So if a team is better at one, you can see map pools favoring them in some instances. But either way, of course, not to take away anything from how the Mayhem performed. That was just phenomenal. And yep, you get to enjoy Shui, so enjoy. Actually, I think you actually enjoyed. Honestly, I actually think you put yourself up for it on purpose.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's actually Swing Chip's idea, so I appreciate the offer.
Oh, well, then that was her. That was her. That's fine then. That's fine. Well, we have another great match coming your way, and that's, of course, the Gladiators taking on the Dallas Fuel. We already saw both of those teams playing on day 1. So let's roll it back. Let's talk about the teams, starting here with the Gladiators. Reinforce looking at their day 1 performance. What are your takeaways? What do they need to work on, and what went well for them?
Well, what went well for them, I think they came out and played a pretty solid double bubble composition as well against the San Francisco Shock. We saw them win Ilios, interestingly with Skewed on the Brigitte instead of Moth, who we talked so much about. But now you go up against the Dallas Fuel, and this is a pretty interesting matchup because the Houston Outlaws yesterday, they showed that when they played the Reinhardt compositions, when they played around the Happy, that forced Dallas Fuel to make a move, and often some unforced errors on the side of Dallas Fuel. So the LA Gladiators, I like their double bubble composition, but now, do you want to make the choice to perhaps play some of those Reinhardt compositions just yourself? Do you want to put Muse on the Reinhardt and just play around Bird Rings, McCree perhaps? It's an interesting choice, the Gladiators. I think they could approach it with a couple different compositions, but ultimately they need to pick one composition and stick with it and really utilize Dallas Fuel's weaknesses in this match.
Right, Costa, I'm putting you into the coaching seat for the Dallas Fuel. What are they working on today? What different things should we expect from them?
If I'm Dallas Fuel, I lean more into the double bubble style. I think when they played the Winston, they looked very good, and there was some problems, obviously, when they don't have that hit scan, when they want to mirror up against that brawl. We know the Gladiators are comfortable on both, but I think they stick to their strengths. Fearless was actually incredible. Even though they did go on to lose that series, Fearless had so many big plays. Play into that, play around Fearless, you can win this series.
Right, now it's time for our Crunch Time presented by Cheez-It Grooves, and that means I want to hear the predictions, starting with myself. I'm going Gladiators on that one. I want the Fuel to do good, but I don't think they're there just yet on day number 2. Danny, where are you leaning?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat. I'm gonna have to go with Gladiators, as the only person that really knows the game.
Oh my god, okay.
Wow, I cannot.
I love my Korean brothers, but Gladiators.
Whoa.
I'm just going to go Gladiators because I wish I could counter that I know more about the game, but I really don't. So I'm actually just going to follow Danny Lim on this one. I'm going for the Gladiators.
Yeah, I'm copying Danny's homework. He's the true analyst on the desk. I'm just a copycat, and that's
all right,
that's
guys.
Here we are. Gladiators.
All right. And we leave this one out in Unity. Make sure that you also get your predictions in. Of course, you can do that over on the pick'em.overwatchleague.com and, predict the matches, win $500 in prize pool at the end of the May melee match. And you also get awarded this beautiful May statue if you got them all right and are actually on the top of the leaderboard. For now, we're heading into this last game of the day. It is the Gladiators taking on the Dallas Fuel. We're super excited here, even though we don't know anything we're talking about, according to OG. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this. We've already seen both of these teams play, obviously, and it was nice hearing Danny, the only person who knows what they're talking about on the desk as well. Danny's input and analysis, of course, got to respect that. Danny and guests, I should say, as well. Just
Danny and guests, that's a great name for the desk.
Yeah.
Sideshow ruined the Plat Chat power rankings. I'm telling you, I wanted Florida higher, Atlanta lower, and here we are. It's your fault.
I agree. I'm with Johnny on this one, okay? Sideshow
Sideshow was actually the biggest anti-OGE person on Plat Chat, just to call that out.
That is so true.
Have fun, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Good luck.
Anyway, let's get this game started. Is that true?
Well, I would say it's a new game. All right, it's a new match. It's a new game. I'll say that Custer had some nefarious actions when he came in to do the Plat Chat power ranking. So we'll let Watson decide at the end of the season, won't we? And that'll be that. Listen, new dawn, new day. Let's move on.
Of course.
Or is it just me?
The match we've got at hand is, of course, the Dallas Fuel versus the Los Angeles Gladiators, and it's going to be an interesting one. We've seen both of these teams play, and of course, in the Battle for Texas, it was a close back and forth between them and Houston, and the Gladiators as well. Despite the fact that it seemed quite dominant on paper, I think that the Gladiators, honestly, put up a very, very good fight against the San Francisco Shock. I think, for me personally, I was really impressed at the level and I think the pace at which they were playing the game overall. That was the most important takeaway for me, because the Gladiators have now evolved into this really good team that are eventually going to be contesting for that top spot. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the Dallas starters and who they're rolling out with.
Well, I'm interested in the Dallas team particularly here because I think this gives us another look at how they're going to settle in without that hit scan at the beginning of the season. We have Sparkle and Doha, Fearless Hanbin, Fielder Jexit. It's the lineup you're expecting to see when they're going to be playing more of a rush-based map, because we're starting out here on Lijiang Tower. But for me, the question becomes, what do they do over the course of this series without somebody able to play the hit scan? We saw Doha play a little bit of the Hangzhou. We saw Sparkle flex onto the Doomfist when they played some Doom May on King's Row. They have some interesting ideas and pocket picks that they can fall back to. But it's always going to be weird. It's always going to be a little off meta, and that's a challenge for them to deal with in these early weeks.
Yes, and they've definitely been trying to work around that, but their opposition are not going to be having so many of the same problems because they're up against the Gladiators, and this is a team that, we were really quite excited for. I think in the off-season in particular, it seems like they were making some very serious money moves. They're very determined to come out to be a top team so far in North America. And as you can see, Kevster, still haven't got him the camera. We will do at some point a grand face reveal. I swear to you all, we will get it. It's only a matter of time. But yeah, I'll just reiterate the point I was saying earlier, but the pace of which this team was playing, they were playing the game at the same level, I think, as the San Francisco Shock in terms of the decision-making, which is the most important takeaway when you're playing these rush compositions. And it was just really impressive to me to watch, because we are really witnessing the rise of the Gladiators. I truly believe that.
Yeah, it also translates across different team compositions. The ability to play at a high tempo is not just limited to fast compositions. It just means your decision-making and your communication, your teamwork is all really up to scratch if you can adjust very quickly on the fly. I'm interested, of course, across the series of this game to see what role Mirror plays too. He's going to start here as DPS. Yesterday, he flexed over to fill the tank spot when they moved to Gibraltar and kind of kicked space out of the lineup, which is unusual. He did it last season as well for the Gladiators, but I was assuming that wouldn't be so much of the case this year.
Yeah, it seems that they still want to put Mirror in one of his comfort roles. I mean, the guy is very, very good at Zarya. I think he constantly performs at the top levels when it comes to like the rank ladder, which, you know, you can read into that as much as you want, but, you know, he's typically at the top when it comes to his Zarya, and he's very comfortable in that role, and it seems that the Gladiators obviously are opting into that wherever they think, okay, you know, there's a position where we can put Mirror into that role. That kind of flexibility is rare these days in the Overwatch scene, especially since we've gone into the 2-2-2 lock. You don't really get to see too much of that, but it's always nice to see when it does crop up.
I'll tell you as well, the Los Angeles Gladiators running this lineup indicates to me, with Moth being in rather than Skewed, that they want to lean into rush-based compositions. Maybe not on Garden. Garden is the least rushy, I would say, of the three, but everywhere else I would anticipate them trying to lean into that more often than not. And the big question marks always come around Dallas. What are they going to play? What are they going to field? They don't have somebody who's as comfortable on the Tracer pick as Kevster, for example, or Birdring if they wanted to sub him in later on. And although Doha has picked up, you know, Hangzhou at times, the true hit scan is a little missing for this team. So it looks like they're going to start out here with a bit of a rush style, but then with the Sigma involved as well. It's all going to get interesting with this match between Dallas and Gladiators.
Yeah, and Sparkle is just sticking with the Symmetra, so they're going to be leaning heavily into some weird and wacky compositions. It's just what we wanted to see from the Dallas Fuel. It means they're going to get a bit of an advantage as they're playing close up on the bridge, and the Gladiators are giving out, and they're making switches. So look at this now, the Gladiators moving over to some Farah Mercy, which is pretty potent when it comes to running this against the May and the Sim. They don't have many options on the Dallas Fuel side of dealing with this.
They really don't. Again, this is a great counter to a team that can't really run hit scan that easily. And it might be one of the big reasons why Moth has been put in here. Perhaps not for his Lucio, but for his Mercy instead. But that's a great first pick. Muse baited in and rocked.
Yeah, and that Ice Wall as well, just separating the healing away, blocking the line aside is magical. Sparkle, look at him just decimating with that beam. Once you get it going, it is really, really hard to deal with. But a good start for the Dallas Fuel, honestly. Like, rolling out into this composition as well, like with Gladiators making these changes and adjustments, you need to get the first initial teamfight win to at least feel good about the rest of this map.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with what Dallas are running. Playing into this Farah would be a nightmare. And now it just becomes a question of whether Mirror or Kevster can get value for the rest of the Gladiators. I think normally you would expect a team to be running ball with this kind of composition, but Muse being on the Winston is not going to be an issue for them. Coalescence into the air, attempting to snipe Mirror out of the skies.
Yeah, they try to go for it. The Gravitic Flux as well is going to be connecting onto a lot of the targets, and the Gladiators they get chunked down here.
The Rez off the side.
Just about avoiding it, yeah, and he's going to be gliding right back up to safety as well. And so the Gladiators are still in a position to fight this, Josh. Slowly grinding in, a nana boost applied. Muse is going to be trying to cleave through this shield, and of course, the Tesla Cannon does not care about the Sim Shield whatsoever. The Samurai are going to be used as well, and a lot of damage is being unleashed right now. Dallas Fuel, okay, using the Fade as well, so just about getting to safety. The Fielder collecting with the rest of his team, but ultimately not quite enough. Still, if you're the Dallas Fuel, I think you're going to be quite pleased with this. You're going to be getting roughly around 80% in terms of your capture point progress. The issue is now, though, recontesting this, because, yeah, you could TP into window, I suppose. You could play hard and fast onto the point itself, but you're playing again right into Mirror's ultimate once more, because he's built it up. He's just spamming.
He is, and Mirror's pretty much going to be uncontested this entire time. You say you'd be happy, and I agree, because there's 82% on the board for Dallas, but Jex's beat came through a little too late there, and Sparkle ended up going down. Now they've swapped Sparkle over to the Reaper, so they're planning to just burst Muse and Space down before Mirror or Kevster can get value in the fights. This is where Jexa needs to be applying that speed boost, and Dallas need to move quickly.
Earth Shatter comes down, it connects onto both the tanks, and Mirror tries to follow it up with tries to lay down the barrage just to try and salvage it. Doesn't quite work out. Fielder with the Coalescence as well, just keeping his team up nice and healthy. Damage being laid into them. Self-destruct as well, and the point does flip over for the Dallas Fuel. See, Hanbin using his Gravitic Flux just about avoids the Sleep Dart. Won't be cancelled out here, but might just get that kill. The Accretion missing here. falling quite low as he was high up in the sky. Dallas Fuel going to be getting 99%. Gladiators need to try and get a body onto the point here. Is anybody going to be able to touch? No one touches! Muse just a little bit too late.
Yeah, that's a little catastrophic for the Gladiators there, but at the same point, Dallas were already winning that fight, I feel. Doha managed to get an icicle pick into the backline onto Shu, and at that point, you just don't have the healing to be able to work with, in my opinion. And this now starts to put the heat on. A lot of people were talking smack on Houston yesterday for winning against Dallas. That's how crazy we've got with Scrimbucks at the moment, at the beginning of the season, is as soon as Dallas lose their hit scan, people expect them to be rolled over. That is not the case. This is still a quality roster. And with